Possible money laundering this morning. The House Intelligence Committee has released the transcript from its closed-door interview with Glenn Simpson, the head of the opposition research firm Fusion GPS. That firm was behind the infamous Trump-Russia dossier. I want to bring in NBC's Mike Memoli and Nick Akerman, former assistant special Watergate prosecutor, also a partner at Dorsey Whitney LLP, and of course an MSNBC legal analyst. Michael, to you first. Walk us through what Simpson told investigators.
Well, Stephanie, last week when we saw the Senate Judiciary Committee release the transcript of its interview with Glenn Simpson, some of the most interesting exchanges there were about how it came to be that the timeline where the dossier, some of the findings of the opposition research being done by Fusion GPS went from the opposition research firm itself to the FBI, and whether or not the FBI was taking those claims seriously. What we saw in the transcripts that we read, almost 200 pages of interview here, is a real effort, especially by the Democrats, to drill down on what they saw as a potential pattern of behavior that between Trump properties, his organization and real estate, and Russian figures. I think we can put two things on screen here. First, what Simpson describes as what he calls a pattern of transactions, a pattern of activity where there were quick sales, there were Russian figures coming in to buy properties at an inflated rate and then selling them at a real loss. He says there's this effort to disguise the identity of those properties. And then separately, we can look at what Simpson describes as a real effort, and there's been some new reporting that suggests the Mueller team is looking into this as well, of Russian figures to really infiltrate conservative organizations like the NRA. They targeted these various conservative organizations, religious or otherwise, he says. And why is this important? This is because as some of the Democrats on the committee asked Simpson, is this really enough evidence to say that there's a link between the president and potential financial leverage that Vladimir Putin has on him? And what Simpson tells them is that basically all these oligarchs, all these potential mafia figures are agents of the state now. Everyone works for Putin, he says.
So a pattern of off-market real estate sales, those sales to foreign investors with shell companies. That sure sounds like money laundering 101. Nick, the NRA has not commented, but they did report spending, and they spent a record $55 million in 2016. That includes $30 million towards supporting Donald Trump. That's 3 times what they spent on Mitt Romney. And yes, this is a different time. Hillary Clinton spent a lot more money, but that's only what they reported. If there are ties that somehow Russia or Russian oligarchs were funneling money through the NRA, what does that mean?
I mean, that means there's illegal campaign contributions, that you have the Russians basically not only laundering money into the NRA to finance the Trump campaign, but it also means you have illegal campaign contributions. It is against the law for a U.S. presidential campaign to accept money from a foreign source, and particularly a foreign government that's not our best friend. So this is a situation where Mueller's going to be tracing the money and following the rubles from Russia into the NRA and into the campaign, if that's what happened.
So this testimony, based on what we've read, certainly seems like it will be of interest to Mueller.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the kind of thing that they are really adept at doing, following money, tracing money, going through the banking system. These are sorts of things that you cannot erase in the course of any kind of investigation. It's going to be there, and somebody's going to have a lot of explaining to do if, in fact, lots of money came from Russia into the NRA.
Now, Nick, I know you don't have direct knowledge of why this would happen, but walk me through. Hope Hicks scheduled to interview today with the House Intelligence Committee. It was abruptly postponed, and the committee also agreed to extend Steve Bannon's deadline to answer questions that were related to the Trump transition and his time at the White House. From your perspective, and I realize you don't have direct knowledge of this, why would this happen?
I think it would happen because somebody in the White House counsel's office has told the committee that they're looking at executive privilege and they're going to claim it for a period of time when it doesn't even apply, which is when Trump was not the president.
Then if that's the case, why would the committee say, fine, Hope doesn't need to come in today?
Because this committee doesn't care about getting to the bottom of all of this. They just care about checking off the points that they're going to talk to this one, they're going to talk to that one. These Republicans that are part of this committee, as we've seen over the last couple of months, have done everything to sort of attack the Mueller investigation, attack the people on the investigation, and to try and drag this out or to get it over with quickly so they can say nobody did anything wrong.
So this is important. Just because they cancel a meeting with Hope Hicks or they give Steve Bannon more time will have no bearing on what Robert Mueller is doing.
Zero. Absolutely none whatsoever. Look, the goals of both of these are completely different. The committee's trying to check all of the boxes. Robert Mueller is looking at violations of federal criminal law. The bottom line is none of these people can refuse to go into a grand jury. If the Mueller team decides to give them a subpoena, there is no way under the sun that they can get that adjourned, they can get that quashed. They will have to testify or take the Fifth Amendment.
We know that Republicans, whether or not they had anything to do with the president during the campaign or the transition, they want to put Russia aside and they want to focus on their agenda. But last night, Adam Schiff, a top Democrat, obviously, on this committee, spoke to Chris Matthews on Hardball, and I want to share what he said. Take a look.
They're plainly concerned about testimony before Congress. They're most concerned, frankly, about Steve Bannon. They may have good reason for that concern, or this may be just a broad effort to stifle the congressional investigations.
So, yes, Adam Schiff clearly is axed, but what does it tell you about where the White House is right now?
Well, I think it's pretty clear from that book, Fast and Fury. There is nobody, except maybe his children. Fire and Fury. It's Fast and Fury, too. But there is nobody in that White House, except maybe his family members, that are going to take a bullet for Donald Trump. Every one of these people is a potential witness, including Bannon. I mean, look at Michael Flynn. This was his top security guy. These two were peas in a pod. Donald Trump tried to stop the investigation by the FBI into him, and now he's cooperating. That means almost anybody in that White House is a potential cooperator.
Then is it possible for Sarah Huckabee Sanders to continue to say the White House is being open and being absolutely cooperative?
She can say that all she wants, but that's not what's happening. Believe me, they do not want Donald Trump to be deposed under oath in this investigation. That is the last thing they want, even though they say they can't wait to have him give his side of the story. Because the bottom line is it's Michael Flynn, and what Michael Flynn has told the prosecutors about what Donald Trump knows, what Donald Trump has said to him throughout the campaign and into the time that he was president.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.